Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the 412 Double Play podcast. First half of the season officially concluded today. We've got some first half thoughts, all-star preview with the Pirates pitcher starting in it, a look ahead to the second half, but most importantly today, we're going to be talking about the first two rounds of the MLB draft as it's currently unfolding during this recording. I am, as always, your host, Michael Castriano, back from his vacation to the Tennessee wilderness. My Double Play partner and co-host, Ed Wassel. Ed, do they get Pirates games in the Smoky Mountains?
I don't know. The Phillies were on every day, which was weird.
I mean, winning baseball, if you're in the middle of nowhere and you have to watch somebody.
I guess so. They don't have a local team.
Pitch well. Yeah, I don't know. Let me look at my map. I'm not sure who would be the closest. Well, probably Atlanta. I think that Tennessee has a lot of Atlanta fans, but
fairly close, yeah.
Were the Braves playing the Phillies?
No, it was Phillies-Dodgers. I mean, that's
right. Okay.
Big matchups.
That's yours. Yeah, so it probably was just like an ESPN thing. But we got 4 days off from baseball, with the exception of obviously the All-Star Game festivities, Home Run Derby, obviously the All-Star Game itself on Tuesday, and of course the announcement this past week that Paul Skenes will start for the National League. He is the first rookie starting pitcher since Hideo Nomo in 1995, and is the first Pirates starter since Jerry Royce in 1975, not Doc Ellis in 71. Thank you for several people who corrected me. I posted on social media the other day. I'm like, oh, is it? I'm not happy to make mistakes, but I'm okay with admitting it. It was silly of me.
It happens a lot with us, so it's not a big deal.
And here's the thing. Jerry Royce, 1975, wasn't alive for another 13 years. 2, Jerry Royce was like a journeyman pitcher, so I had no recollection of him being on the Pirates. Apparently, he made a second stint in 1990, but he was there from like 1974 to 78. So like none of the like big World Series years. Like appreciate it, but okay. All-Star Game, Paul Skenes starting. Your immediate thoughts on that?
I mean, just that it's pretty awesome. Like you mentioned, it hasn't happened for the Pirates since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows you, how electrifying he is. And I've seen reports from different people, not anyone specific, that some people might be upset because they don't think that he necessarily earned the start. He only had 11 starts or something like that to this point. So they were saying like old heads were upset about it, that he didn't earn it. And then there's other people that were like, well, if he's that electrifying, you can't really argue it. So
if he's one of the best pitchers, and if Chris Sale hadn't pitched this weekend, maybe it's him. If they decide to go with Ronaldo Lopez, one of the Phillies starters, like Zach Wheeler's having a great season, he might be in Cy Young contention. Paul Skenes, over the stretch of since May 11th, has been the best pitcher in baseball. And he's exciting baseball. He's just so good. He's so much better than everyone else, and he's playing at the top tier of talent. First year, first 11 starts, and he's just making everyone else look like little kids. It's insane, and we're so lucky to get to live through this.
People forget how many pitchers you're going to see during the All-Star Game.
Right, he's going to pitch.
He's only pitching inning.
I'm hoping it's 1 inning because I want him to save those innings for our games. But 1 to 2 innings. You got a bunch of other ones. He is the second youngest rookie starting pitcher to start the All-Star Game, behind Mark Feierdich, however you say that, and the 6th youngest overall. So, like, all the accolades, all the acclaim, all the hype of being a 1-1 pick last year, coming in this season, All-Star Game starting pitcher. Like, that's a tremendous turnaround. And the guy that, if you're watching on YouTube, you see we've got the banner going at the bottom of the screen with the 9th overall pick. The Pirates selected Connor Griffin, a prep shortstop outfielder from Jackson Prep, Mississippi. The draft this year wasn't really like last year, and I think a lot of people were kind of surprised with how it was unfolding. There was about 8 guys who could have potentially been first overall, could have ended up being like 9th overall, really. And even after that, there was some guys that was a little bit scrambled. I'll admit I don't really follow the draft that much. I was able to have Corey Schrader, colleague of mine from Steel City Pirates, on last week to talk about some potential options. Ed, what were your initial thoughts on the Pirates drafting Griffin?
Well, when it first came across my phone, it just labeled him as a shortstop. And you know how I feel about middle infielders. The Pirates always seem to take 1 or 2 or 3. And then after diving in a little bit and seeing that he's actually also an outfielder and all of his grades, I was, much more excited.
Yeah, I think he's got one of the, if not the, I think one of the highest ranked arms in the draft class. He's got a 70 grade arm per MLB pipeline, 60 grade power, 65 grade run, 50 grade hit, 60 field. We talked before we started recording about the speed. He went 87 for 88 in stolen base attempts this year. And he's playing in like a 6A, like the highest possible competition in the deep South, where there's the high school level is very competitive and in a prep school. And then scouts are saying, okay, this is the top high school guy, basically 30-30, 5-tool potential, 6'4", 205 pounds, Gatorade High School Player of the Year. Like, what concerns you the most besides the fact that he came over as a shortstop, outfielder? The most athletic player on a high school team typically plays shortstop.
It could be a little bit different on a prep team like that because you're kind of recruiting the best players. But still,
sure.
Obviously, he's going to be one of the more athletic of any of those players.
And then with drafting, with the MLB draft, you're not drafting for immediate need typically. And you're not going to see a lot of these guys for a number of years, like Jamar Johnson, who we drafted in 2022. He's still in high A ball, likely be in double A. I mean, he's on a tear lately, but it's going to be 2027, maybe 2028 before we see Griffin reach the big leagues. If he progresses as expected, maybe he goes faster. It's really hard to say, but it's not going to be this year that he's going to be able to help. Did you wish that the Pirates had gone with a college bat, potentially get somebody who can move along faster and help the team within the next year or two?
Initially, I wanted them to take one of the top first basemen in the draft. Both the guys I was looking at were taken prior. So at that point, I was kind of like, whatever. I didn't dig that deep into it. Like you said, we don't really follow the MLB draft like that.
Yeah, that them being Nick Kurtz of Wake Forest, taken number 4 overall, and Jack Caglione, the two-way player from Florida, who was taken number 6.
Yeah, once they came off the board, it was kind of, I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah. The draft is just such a gamble, and you really just don't know what you're going to end up getting, who they're going to end up picking. And we've got 2 more picks tonight coming at 37 and 47 overall. So it's possible that those are going to happen while we're recording. If not, we'll talk about them next week. But let's move on with transactions from this past week. Busy week for players getting healthy. Pirates option struggling outfielder Edward Olivares to Indy as they activated Quinn Priester from the IL. Ryder Ryan was optioned for the 5th time this season as David Bednar was activated from the IL ahead of the weekend series. Also, Brent Honeywell DFA'd to make room for Marco Gonzalez, who returned from the 60-day IL. Ryder Ryan can't be optioned again this year. 5 times is the max. If he is called up and then they try to option him again, he has to pass through waivers. Essentially, is DFA'd. Any team can put a claim on him. And the Dodgers have since claimed Brent Honeywell, who has, I think they said 12 or 13 different pitches. your thoughts on these transactions? Obviously, the team's getting healthier. We're getting the rotation shored up. We're getting that bullpen shored up. Good thing.
Yeah. Like you said, Oliveris is struggling. Palacios comes up already. You can already kind of see that spark that he brings.
It's just who he is. Seventh inning or later, like you just put Palacios in. I think he hit 2 home runs in the 7th inning or later already.
I don't know what's up with the Ryder Ryan. That guy just cannot. He can't catch a break. They just keep shipping him back out.
I will say his numbers overall have not been great. He's mostly been like, I don't want to say cleanup role, but they put him in, and then he kind of just is. Like he was really good earlier on in the season, but has fallen off a lot since then. Let me see if I can find those stats. But it's unfortunate that he's kind of getting like bounced around like he has, because I think his 2-seamer early on in the season was really good, but it just hasn't. Yeah, he's got a 5.29 ERA, 1.41 WHIP in how many innings? 18. Excuse me. How many innings this season? 17 innings this season. So
I mean, you have one bad inning and your stats are pretty skewed.
Yeah, that's true.
Not saying he only had one bad inning. I'm just.
Yeah, he's allowed runs in 6 of 7 of his games. 1 wasn't earned, but yeah, so something that we'll have to keep in mind. We haven't seen those rules really come to pass, at least for the Pirates yet, in the 2 years or year and a half that they've existed. So it'll be interesting if that does happen. Losing Honeywell, I was surprised he was added to the roster in the first place. So kind of is what it is on that. Priester and Gonzalez, I'm going to talk about them in a second. Which one of those do you think has a better claim for a rotation spot before we talk about the weekly recap? Like, who would you more rather see in the rotation?
Right now, probably Gonzalez.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean, veteran presence has been decent in the past. I don't know if Priester just needs that confidence boost or what. Because you see some games where he looks great, he has a blow-up inning, and it all just unravels from there.
I mean, he had 2 really good appearances this past week, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Because of the way the schedule worked out, we had 7 games this past week against 3 different teams, starting off with the final game of the homestand against the Mets. Mitch Keller on the bump, looking to bounce back from his subpar start the previous week. He's locked in from the start. Striking out the first 3 batters on 10 pitches, he ended up going 8 frames, 7 hits, 2 runs, both coming off a 6th-inning home run by Brandon Nimmo. No walks, 6 strikeouts. O'Neal Cruz hit a 2-run shot of his own in the 4th. Bucks put up a 5 spot in the 6th, eventually coasting to a 8-2 win over the Mets. Heading to Milwaukee for a divisional matchup. Game 1 had Colin Ray going for the Brewers as Josh Fleming worked as an opener for the Bucks. Fleming struggled, walked a couple guys, but posted a scoreless first before the recently activated Quinn Priester took over. He had one of his best outings of his MLB career. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Pirates hitters started slow, as always, but Brian Reynolds, he had a 2-run shot in the 3rd. Nicky G and Jack Sawinski got RBI singles in the 6th before Joey Bart hit the team's 7th grand slam of the season. Rowdy Tellez also hit his 100th career home run as the Bucks would win 12-2 in the opening match. Scales slid the other direction in Game 2 as Martin Perez struggled to locate the strike zone. May have gotten squeezed on a few pitches here and there, but 4.2 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Pirates couldn't get anything going offensively, mustering just 4 hits as they lost 9-0. But Paul Skenes on the bump for the rubber match, and his best start yet per the game score. Feels like anytime he gets on the mound, he could have his best start yet. 7 scoreless innings, 0 hits, 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch, 11 strikeouts. Second time this season he's gone 6 or more with 1 walk and 11 strikeouts without allowing a hit. Colin Holderman allowed 2 hits and a shaky 8th to lose the combined no-hitter, but he and Aroldis Chapman managed to keep the Brewers from scoring as a 7th-inning RBI double from Yasmani Grandal was the lone run all they would need, giving the Pirates a series win behind a 1-0 victory. And the last stop before the All-Star break, the Pirates face the White Sox in Chicago. Recently activated Marco Gonzalez slated to start against one of the best pitchers in baseball, Garrett Crochet, on Friday. Crochet was every bit the unhittable monster we've heard about, held to just 2 innings in his start due to concerns because he's kind of getting on an innings limit here. Gonzalez managed to last 5 innings, allowing just 1 run off 7 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts, while the Bucks managed to break through against reliever Jonathan Cannon. He is typically a starter, came in relief of Crochet. They were able to bunch some hits together, scratch through with a 4-1 victory. Game 2, bats again slow to break through, but Reynolds came through with bases loaded twice, netted 4 RBI in his 4-for-5 day, while Luis Ortiz posted another excellent start of 5.2 innings, 1 run ball. The Bucks win 6-2. And then the final match today, Keller back on the bump. He sees his streak of 5+ innings, and not injury concern, by the way. He wasn't as sharp as previous starts. Went 3 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Pirates took him out just because the coaches took him out because the Pirates were already in the lead and felt that it wasn't worth it to have him pitching. Just get him started on his All-Star break early. Reynolds and Bart each homered today. Cruz, Hayes, and Palacios each had multiple hits as the Bucks finished the sweep with a 9-4 win. Pirates finished the first half of the season 48-48 record, 500 at the break for the first time since 2016. They've got a tough road ahead, still some teams that they need to overtake. Are you surprised that they are where they are, either positively or negatively?
I wouldn't say surprised. I think we talked about it a few weeks back where I thought they should be above 500, but they battled through a lot of stuff. I mean, the rotation got thin there for a little bit. So I'm not unhappy with where they're at. I think they could be in a better position, but they're right in the thick of it as far as the wild card goes.
Yeah, as it stands right now, I believe they are 1.5 games out of the final wild card spot. Ahead of them, they've got San Diego, who's 1 game back. Arizona Diamondbacks, also 1 game back. And then it's the Mets holding that wild card spot. And then the Cardinals a half game ahead of them. So it's a tight race. Giants are close behind us. Reds, Cubs aren't completely out of it yet. But the Pirates have, I believe, the 4th hardest strength of schedule ahead of them. Out of the break, their tough stretch of games begins at home for 3 against each the Phillies and Cardinals, and then on the road for 3 at Arizona, 3 at Houston. Go to August, we got 3 at home against Arizona, 3 at home against the Padres. We go on the road to face the Dodgers, Padres, at home against the Mariners, and then we finally face a team who currently has a losing record, the World Series champion Texas Rangers. Like, that's a tough stretch of games.
It's going to be
They don't throw in the Nationals. They don't throw in the Marlins. We just faced a team that you need to beat in the White Sox. You don't always need to sweep because they came in with 27 wins into the series, and they left with 27 wins. But they've come out on top that many times. And they're 27-71. Jeez, they're bad. But that is a really tough stretch of games overall for this team to have to overcome. I think I posted earlier today about the records. Let me just see if I can find that information because I had the numbers on what that is. Yeah, so the out of the break, Philly, St. Louis, Arizona, and Houston have a combined 211 and 173 record. This was before the Diamondbacks concluded their game today. I don't know if they won or lost, but is being at 500 a good spot given the challenges that lie ahead?
I mean, with the teams that you rattle off there, a lot of them are right. I mean, you said, the 4th toughest strength of schedule. A lot of them are hovering right around where the Pirates are, though. Like you'd mentioned, Diamondbacks that are right there in the hunt, Cardinals that are just above us, the Padres that are right there. So that's potential to, put some separation between us as far as that wild card hunt goes.
Yeah, I talked to Gary Morgan of Pirates Fan Forum 2 weeks ago, head of the Cardinals and Mets series, and he said that it was pretty much a make or break week of games. Pirates didn't really prevail in that. Now they're in a position where if you can go and beat up against the Cardinals and beat up against the Diamondbacks and the Padres and all the teams who you're not expected to be able to beat, but you're going to need to if you're going to be in contention, like that does make for a critical stretch of games. Especially Phillies right out of the break, having to face that 1-2-3 in their rotation. Not looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough series there.
All right, still waiting to see. Looks like we've got a number of picks left. We're at 26 right now in the draft. So we're going to go ahead and pivot to down on the farm. Indianapolis Indians starting at home against the Columbus Clippers. The Indians unfortunately dropped 4 of 6 this week. 4 or 5? How many games? Yeah, I think 4 of 6. Henry Davis had 2 hits on the week, both home runs, while Domingo Germán pitched 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts as Indy drops to 38 and 47 on the year. Moving down to Altoona, they were hosting the Bowie Bay Sox, depending where you come from. Curve won 5 of 6 in that series. Charles McAdoo went 6 for 19 with a double, a home run, and a stolen base, while Thomas Harrington and Po-Yu Chen each tossed 7 innings of 1-run ball, with Chen striking out 7 in his game, Harrington knocking down 11. Altoona now has a 35 and 47 record. Greensboro hosting the Winston-Salem Dash. Hoppers won 4 of 6 in their weekly series. Patrick Riley threw 7 innings, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, while Jack Brannigan, kid's heating up again, posted a 1.357 OPS, 4 home runs on the week. He has 7 long balls in his last 15 games and now has 15 total on the season. Grasshoppers rise to a 52 and 29 record this season. Finally, Bradenton Marauders hosting the Jupiter Hammerheads. Marauders split the series 3-3 on the week. Carlos Jimenez had his best start of the season, 6 scoreless innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts, while Omar Alfonso and Esmerlin Valdez each hit 3 home runs for Bradenton. The Marauders hold at a 36 and 46 record. A lot of stuff going on. The pitching in Altoona, like we talk about Bubba Chandler, and I'm going to mention him because he was in the Futures game with Tramar Johnson the other night, but Harrington and Po-Yu Chen is starting to piece together some really good starts. Like we've got some depth. I've been saying Harrington seems like the most likely trade candidate, and I love his upside, and I love that he's got such a high floor. But we just have a lot of stock right here that we're able to kind of utilize. And we're still a couple weeks away from the trade deadline. Talked trade enough, but any thoughts on what's going on in the minor leagues? Any thing? I know you love Jack Brannigan.
I am a big Brannigan fan. No, before you had brought up the pitching, I was going to say how good the pitching has been throughout the system this past week. Like there's been a ton of, 6, 7 inning 1-run games. Like that's you don't see that all that much.
It's been a factor. Indianapolis is the only one where you're not seeing it quite as much because the prospects aren't there. But you got to expect probably towards the end of this month, you might see some more guys getting promoted. Like maybe they'll be aggressive with Harrington. Chen, I think, just got to Altoona, so I don't think he'll be up quite yet. But could see Chandler moving up. Could see Patrick Riley moving up from Greensboro to Altoona. Carlos Jimenez, I feel like this might be his second or third season in Bradenton because he's had some struggles. Would love to see him kind of break through and finally get up. But yeah, we got a lot of arms, and it's possible they're not going to be all with the system in a few weeks if we're going to go out and acquire some pieces, but that's all speculation. Pivoting to that Futures game Saturday night, I mentioned Tramar Johnson. He was at the game. He started at second base. He went 1 for 2 with a run scored. And Bubba Chandler pitched a scoreless 7th inning, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout to close out the game for the National League prospects in a 6-1 win. Futures game typically is that showcase of all the top up and coming prospects. Um, I assume that the players themselves feel like it's an honor akin to the All-Star game being selected. How much do you think it matters overall for these guys getting picked up? Like getting selected for that?
Like personally to those players?
No, personally for you. Like what do you think the impact is?
Oh, minimal. I mean, there's quite a few prospects throughout the Pirates organization that could have been selected. I think they kind of just take some of the bigger names and roll with it.
Okay.
I'm sure to the players themselves, it's like being selected to the All-Star game.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be exciting. They go down. I mean, I think they were in Arlington, so they're all able to do that and probably still hang out to be part of the All-Star game festivities. I I feel like there's a lot of stuff they've had with the All-Star game break in the past. Like the home run derby's different. I don't. I mean, I've said it before on the show. I don't love how they do it now.
Well,
They
it's
don't
new
have.
this year.
They did change. Yeah, they have changed it, but it's not going back to the old format, right?
No, but now it's like I think the first round is I don't remember the time limit, but it also has like a 47 pitch cap,
Okay.
something like that. And the
Um,
second round drops down to like 20 some pitches.
but they used to have like an old timers game where a bunch of like former players are coming. They've got the celebrity softball game that they do, and I'm like, I mean, that's something, but I don't know who watches it.
I don't even know if they show it live.
Oh, I mean, I see videos online, but maybe they don't. Um, yeah, yeah, the draft is moving very slowly, so we probably won't get to the 37th overall pick, unfortunately. But like, it's exciting with Connor Griffin. Again, shortstop slash outfielder, somebody who potentially can move through the system quickly. Um, what are your overall thoughts on the first half of the season? Because we started hot, had some issues, bullpen blowups, offense falling asleep. This past week, kind of put it all together, going 6-1 against. Well, okay, the White Sox don't really count, but going 3-1 against teams who have a better record than us.
Yeah, I mean, the first half was almost like a two different stories because the offense was either non-existent or they're putting up 7 runs. I mean, the starting rotation has been semi-steady throughout the first half, and I think is only going to get stronger with guys coming back from injury, not having like spot starts or bullpen games.
Mhm.
So I think the second half is looking up as long as the offense can continue to be a little more consistent. And we're also seeing that the bullpen is starting to come back and be more healthy as well. So
Yeah, definitely seems like that's going to be critical to getting this team hopefully in contention. But we've got the 4 days off, and then we've got the weekend series with the Phillies. 3 games at home. Obviously, we don't know the matchups, but likely going to be some of the aces from Philly: Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola, maybe Christopher Sanchez. Like 3 of those 4 are going to be going, and then they're likely going to
are
face
any
off.
of them pitch? Are any of them going to be pitching at all in the All Star game?
Nola's the only one who was not selected for the All Star game, so all of them potentially can. Otherwise,
I mean, like we'd mentioned, if they do pitch, it's only going to be for about an inning.
yeah. So I don't think it's going to impact overall, but like that rotation is really good. And then on our side, it looks like Mitch Keller, Paul Skenes, maybe Luis Ortiz. I don't know if they go with like Mark Gonzalez. Martin Perez hasn't looked great. Quinn Priester, his 2 best outings have come in relief.
I mean,
He
throwing a
pitched
lefty in there would be nice because it does kind of seems like the
break it up
Phillies
a bit.
sit a few of their stars when there's like Marsh doesn't play versus lefties. I don't think Stott starts versus lefties. Harper plays against everybody. I don't know what his splits are,
Yep.
lefties and righties.
He just hits everybody because of Bryce Harper.
Basically.
Yeah. Your predictions hosting Philly, not knowing who's going to start but knowing that it's going to be our top three guys versus their top three guys, or three of their top guys, I guess.
Well, I do know a ton of Phillies were selected for the All-Star team. So
yeah, they tied a record with 8, I think.
I'm hoping that they party a little too hard during this break and don't actually get rested up like the majority of the Pirates will.
Yep.
And the Pirates are going to take they're going to take 2 or 3.
That'd be great. That's the kind of thing that you obviously want to be able to do. It's just going to be a really challenging stretch of games ahead. Well, I've got my dog barking, so let's go ahead and wrap that up for this week's episode of 412 Double Play. Follow me on X at 412 Double Play. Follow Ed at Ed_Wassel. Check out SteelCity.com, where I and my talented group of writers have been pumping out articles about the Pirates lately. Link is always in the description. Follow the show, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else podcasts are found. Thank you for joining us this week, and let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
All right, take it away, Sawyer.
Lady Jolly Roger, dude.
Thank you.